thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to tell all of our inclusive skating community a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi Margarita. Thank you for having me on. This is really exciting because I get to talk about something that I'm so passionate about. So my name is Jessica Ashby and I'm a former pupil of Margarita's. So Margarita was my very first skating coach and coached me until I was about, I don't know, 16, 17, something like that. I'm a lot older than that now. I'm about to turn 40, so I'm quite, can you believe it? In November, I've got a while. But yeah, I've found a new love for skating. I stopped skating when I was probably about 17, 18 years old. Didn't skate for many years and then found it again when I was in my, oh gosh, I say late 20s. I think I was like I think I was about 30 when I started skating again. I'm going to ramble here, Margarita, so you cut me off if I'm going off on a tangent. But yeah, I started skating again when I was about 30 and took a different career path. So I went into teaching, not sports or anything. I went into teaching media and film at GCSE and sixth form level, and then took up a hobby which became circus. So I did like trapeze and aerial hoop and silks, and that was like a hobby for me as a teacher. It was like an outlet for me, and I kind of got my fitness level back, and I got my muscle memory came back, and I just loved it. And so then, because I got my fitness level back, I started skating again, and it became enjoyable. And yeah, so from that, I left my teaching job and joined the circus and started working in the circus as a teacher, and worked on the reception and got to perform with them, and yeah, just sort of started out there and found that through the ice skating, a lot of my friends had been messaging me or sending me YouTube videos of these inline or off ice skates. And I can't roller skate. I've never been able to roller skate. I used to try as a kid and just was like, no, it's not for me. I think actually you told me, Margarita, not to mix the two because it would maybe mess up with my ice skating and training. And so that always stayed in my mind. And anytime I did try and roller skate, it just never worked. So that was never an option for me. Inline or quads was never an option. And then, yeah, I kept getting shown these videos of these people ice skating, but they weren't on the ice. And I was like, what is going on? I don't understand how they are doing that in a sports hall. And so I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to look into it. So I did, and I looked into the company that made them, and I knew one of the women that was making them from when we were back in the day skating. She was one of the coaches back then. So yeah, I actually, it was one of our other former skaters. Do you remember JJ? Do you remember JJ?
Yeah.
She messaged me and said something about she knew I was performing, and that she wanted to form a skating troupe or something, an off-ice skating troupe to do corporate things. So I was like, wow, well, I'm kind of doing this thing anyway. And she sent, I think it was her. So we looked into it. I got the skates, and then somehow that never happened, and that didn't happen. But I had these skates, and I was like, I'm going to give them a go. And so I did, and they worked, and I continued to use them, and I started performing on them in the air. So I would do aerial hoop, which is similar to a trapeze, but it's a circle. And I created some skating acts, off-ice skating acts, which was really quite fun, and it meant that I had a bit of a niche, and I got to incorporate the thing that comes the most natural to me, which is ice skating, but on these wheels, and the circus stuff. So it's great. And even if venues didn't have rigs, I could do a lot of work on my off-ice skates, and didn't have to do the circus. And it's literally anyone that's been skating all their lives, if there's any teenagers or children there, or even adults, if you've been skating a long time, it for me, it's like riding a bike. You don't lose that. You've always got it. Depending on your fitness level or confidence. For me, that's something that's never gone away. And times like this, obviously, we can't get to the ice rink. Nothing beats the ice. Can I just say that? Nothing will ever take away the sound. I always, whenever I get on the ice, the sound of the crunch of a blade, like you can't get that, you can't replicate that. But you can definitely replicate ice skating, but not on the ice. So yeah, it's been really great for me because it's opened up other avenues for me. It's allowed me to take my skating to places where you can't take people to the ice, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you were obviously at a very high level. For people that don't remember you skating, because it was a little while ago, you skated right up to British Junior Championship level, and you were even able to land things like double axel. You did an absolutely cracking double axel at one stage. It was really super. So you were at a really high level. But lots of our skaters are going to be trying out going on to the off-ice skates for the very first time. Is there any advice that you would give to people who are going on to inline skates for the first time after they've been on the ice as ice skaters?
Yeah. I remember, yeah, definitely. I remember the first time I put them on, I think the most important thing is just be really cautious. Be with someone, don't be on your own. So make sure you're with somebody else that can, support you, hold you if you need to be held. And yeah, just don't rush into it. So definitely the positioning of your body weight is going to feel different the first time you get on them. They feel a lot heavier, and also so you don't feel quite as light, I don't think, on them. I think there's definitely, whether it's a physical weight or whether it's the feeling of heaviness, I can't quite work out, but that's definitely there. And there was something else I was going to say. Oh, you don't get the glide of the ice to break your fall. So if you do fall over, which as skaters we do, that's not a sign of weakness, that's a sign of, you're trying to do things, and you will fall over. Just bear in mind that you're not going to have that glide to break your fall if you're on new ice, when you attempting jumps or anything. You have the speed, and then when you fall, you do tend to have something to cushion the fall, even though falling is quite jarring. But if you're on the wheels, if you're skating on tarmac or concrete or a sports hall or wherever you're going to be skating, you're not going to have that to cushion your fall and to break your fall. So that's something to be more aware of. I don't wear, and I haven't worn, protective like helmets and knee pads and things like that, but I think that's a really good idea. I think it's probably a good idea to invest in some, and when we're ice skating we don't tend to do that so much. Maybe you do at the beginning, but maybe treat it like it's the beginning again. Maybe don't I think there's a level, there's being confident and there's being overcautious, and I think you need to have somewhere in the middle, because these initially it won't feel like you're on the ice, but I would say within the first session, I think I was probably on them for about maximum an hour. I was, skating backwards and forwards and doing mohawks and 3 turns and even spinning. Not exactly like I was on the ice, but, and it took a couple of sessions before I felt confident to try, single jumps and things like that. I've never done more than an axel, a single axel, not a double axel. But then I'm not training ice skating like I used to. So I confidently got up to a single axel, but that was over time. And that was definitely a lot of mind over matter and a lot of confidence and a lot of learning how to fall on the hard floor. So yeah, my advice is be with somebody, make sure you're wearing clothes that are maybe a little bit more protective than normal, and try and get a fine balance between being too cautious and too overconfident, I think.
That's really helpful advice, Jessica. Now, you also mentioned in the course of the conversation there that the balance feels different. And particularly when we go on to inlines, it's great that they've got these new inline off ice skates, because they didn't exist 20, 25 years ago. These are a relatively new thing. We're really lucky that they've got them, because they do mimic the skate so much more, because they've got a curve, so that the balance is actually much more similar to being on the ice, because it's got the rock of the skate. but it's not identical. So what would you say is the biggest differences that you find in that sort of that rock and the balance point comparing ice to inline?
Well, because you're on a on a wheel, sometimes if your weight's too far back, you roll. Whereas if you're too far back on the skates, I guess when you're on the skates, the same thing happens. You can lose your balance and fall back, can't you? Do you know what? Once you've made the transition, once you've got used to it, there's very little difference. And that's the honest truth. The weight at the front where your toe pick is, where your toe rake is, should I go and get my skates? They're really very battered. Can you grab me them, Damien? They're just in the hall actually, because I've been using them a lot because car parks are closed. So they're a great place to go. Right, mine are really, please excuse the filth of them, but they're really battered. But you can see where the toe rake is. Now, I've ordered some more. They've actually just arrived today because mine are so worn out. You can see they're splitting. I use them so much. And Damien, my fiance, has used cable ties to keep them on with because I've lost some of the bolts. So I've just ordered some more bolts and they've been worn out a lot. So there's a lot of, that's another thing I can talk about. There's a lot of care that you need to take with these in terms of cleaning them. And because I've not come from a roller skating world, I know nothing about cleaning wheels and bearings and all these different things that come with wheels. So I've had to learn a lot through that. But yes, these are very battered because I use them all the time. But I find that depending on what blade you use, I find that this toe stop, which acts as your toe rake, which they've replicated here, I don't know if you can see, but that's more of a design, to make it look like a blade. But I find the lower I have this, the more it replicates a toe rake. Some of them are quite high. You can position them higher if you want to. I find that if it's lower, I can catch it more, which I prefer, but some people don't like to catch their toe rake. They like it a bit higher. So I guess there's a bit of playing around with it when you first put it on. I got these really early on. I got these in 2013, and I think they just kind of come out with them then. Well, this particular company, I don't know if I'm naming companies here or whatever, but
yeah, I think it's fine because there's like a couple of like ones that we can source in the UK.
Yeah, so these are the off-ice skates ones, and they went on Dragon's Den with it. I think they took it to Dragon's Den. Yeah, so that was pretty early on. I mean, they're doing really well now, obviously, with all the ice rinks closed. But I think they've probably come on a little bit more. I've got the I don't know what they're called. So they have the sort of starter wheel, which was the only wheel they had when I first bought them. And they're clear. They look much nicer actually. They're clear wheels, but they're slower, and these ones are faster. I don't really know how, I don't understand it, but these ones are the faster ones, which I think anyone that's skating a good couple of times a week would probably want to get these ones. But yeah, I think when you assemble them, they probably got more detailed instructions now. When I first got them, it wasn't so detailed, but I think now it probably is. But it's just about playing around with it. And as I said, this toe stop here for me is the most important, and sometimes I have to readjust it. I think I'm looking forward to putting my new ones on now with my new I don't even know what these are called, bolts.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that on and seeing if that's a difference, because mine have really, they wear away they've worn away over the years.
So how many times have you had to replace the toe stop, Jessica?
This is the first time I'm replacing them.
Oh, so you've actually had them 7 years and it's the first time to replace the toe stop?
It is, yes.
And they need replacing, Jessica.
I know. They're split. They've actually split. They're really bad. But apparently the wheels are okay. So they said they have edges on the wheels. The wheels have like edges on them, and I thought I'd have worn mine away. But apparently when I spoke to one of the Karens on the phone, there are two Karens. I spoke to one of the Karens and she said they should be fine. So she didn't try to sell me new wheels for the hell of it. So I'm still staying with my old wheels.
Now, you were talking about cleaning them.
Yes.
Can you
Oh
explain to
gosh.
everyone what do you have to do about cleaning them? Because people that have been on the ice and haven't done any inline will not know anything about how you have to clean and maintain the wheels.
So they get really gross, depending on where you're skating, to be honest with you. So I do a lot of corporate work, which involves like corporate parties. So I do, especially around sort of Christmas time, or any time of year really, especially being on wheels. They like if there's a disco theme party. So I'm doing a lot of skating indoors, often on surfaces where there's might be spilt drink and stuff. That's something you need to watch out for. Let's go to that safety thing. So you can't skate indoors on wet surfaces because you will just go. So you need to really make sure, like there's no holding on. The wheels will just go beneath you. So you need to make sure that if you are skating, I mean, most people are going to be skating either, I guess, in your gardens. If you don't have a garden, you're going to be going to a park. But you need to make sure that the surface, especially if it's been raining, don't do it. Tarmac and stuff outside will hold your wheels if it is wet, but it will collect a lot of dirt. So that's the point I'm getting to. It will collect dirt. You'll probably get hair in it. You'll just collect anything that's on the floor will get collected in these wheels. And when you take the bolts off, there are these bearings inside. And there's like sort of oil in there to keep them, moving. And it all just gets all black and mucky and horrible. I didn't realize actually that you needed to clean them. And embarrassingly, because I work with a lot of roller skaters, not ice skaters, they're always, a couple of roller skaters in the past have just taken my skates for me, taken the wheels off and cleaned them for me and been like, I can't believe you've let this happen to your skates. Like, this is what you make your money off of and you're treating them like this. So I've been embarrassed a few times by some of the roller skaters that I work with.
How often would they clean their skates?
Oh, I don't know. Damien, you're a roller skater. How often would you clean your wheels?
As often as you can.
As often as you can.
Because it picks up hair.
Picks up hair, yeah.
Time.
Yeah. So that's the thing, coming from an ice skating world, moving to wheels. Even though I feel like I'm an ice skater still and I'm gliding around the place and I'm ice skating and everyone's like, oh, wow, she's ice skating, but she's on wheels. Actually, there's a lot more maintenance with these than there is with the ice skate. So that was a big shock to me.
Because we would dry the blades immediately after coming off the ice, and we're all very good at putting our soap and keeping them all nice and dry and getting rid of all the damp. But then you just like tuck them in the bag and forget about it.
And that's what I've been doing with these. So I've not been taking care of them as best that I can. So to be honest, I should probably really, I mean, if I've been working in a club type venue or on a stage where there's other, like glittery things going on, I don't know, whatever picks up, or if you're in the street and you're skating in the street, you should probably clean them. Ideally, you should probably clean them each time, maybe once a week, depending on how often, but I don't, but I should.
Exactly. One of the things that a lot of our skaters are going to be struggling with is just trying to find somewhere to actually skate. I've just actually bought a new pair of inlines myself because obviously we're not going to be on the ice, and we're waiting for Juliana's new ones to come because the ones that were available are too short actually, so she's not actually managing to skate in them much. They were really, much too short for the back of the skate. So I've got white porcelain tiles, so I had a wee go at trying to do it on my white porcelain tiles, and it's quite slidey on the white porcelain tiles. It's not a good surface.
Yeah, definitely. I think, so that's another thing. Using your knees and getting into your ankles was something you always used to say to me. The more you can get down into the skates and into the wheels, the more you're going to feel in control of it. So with the wheels, especially these ones, they'll just take you. You'll just go. Like, you don't, depending on what surface you're on, especially if there's a slight hill, because we're not on a flat ice rink unless you're in your house, the wheels will just take you because there's no edge grinding down into it. So if you're in situations like that and you feel like the surface you're on is quite slippy, then you just got to get down more. You've got to really sort of like get down into your knees and your ankles. And you will control through the weight of your body, you will control that speed and that grip a bit more. I've skated in shopping centres, like for work, not just for freestyle. And I agree with you, like that sort of tiled, that, you know, glossy tiled is quite difficult. The minute the minute anything gets wet on that, you've had it. But I actually love, that's my ideal skating surface. Your porcelain white tiles would probably be, depends how glidey they are, but I really enjoy that because I don't have to do much. I can really be quite free with it. You'll find that if you're skating on not gravel, but like on tarmac, sometimes there's a slight, you know, texture to it, so you have to work a little bit harder. But yeah, patios or your car parks are quite good. I mean, you know, depending on whether or not you're allowed to be in that car park, or if it's, you know, closed off. If it's an outdoor, I'd say if it's an outdoor playground car park, like if it's a park and there's a car park there and there's foot access in, I would say that would be okay. But if there's no sort of foot access in and you're having to, you know, get in, you know, where you shouldn't, then I wouldn't skate in those places. But yeah, surface is important. And also really important is hills, because ice skaters don't skate up or down hills. So I'm like this really confident roller skater until I get to a hill and I'm like, ah!
What do you use to stop if you're going down the hill?
So these are really good because you can walk. So you just get on your toes and you walk. You get on your tiptoes, or any surface you're not sure of, especially skating on the street, because it feels really liberating, ice skating through the streets. But then all of a sudden you'll come to like, you know, like a raise in the pavement, or it'll get really bumpy, or like you get those little dots, you know, like when you get to the side of the streets, those little dots, and you know, that's not smooth. So yeah, you get on your little toes and you just start walking. You walk along until you get to a place that's flat, and then you skate again. I don't really enjoy street skating in these, I'll be honest with you. I feel like they're too delicate and precious, and they're going to get ruined, and I don't know, I just, depending on what the road is and what the street is, I prefer to take my skates somewhere where I know that the surface is nice and smooth. And also I don't, even the slightest incline in the hill, in the road, you don't notice. You might be walking, like your road, you might be walking up and down all the time, but until you put wheels on, you realize, oh my goodness, this is actually uphill and it's really hard work, or this is downhill and I feel a little bit out of control here. But slaloming, so imagine, I don't know if I've never skied before, but imagine like, so you go side to side and that will slow things down a lot, and it's a good workout for your legs, getting into your knees and your ankles. But yeah, that sort of thing. But ideal skating surface for me would be like wood, you know, laminate floor or tiled floor or patio or car park, you know, that sort of cement.
For the inline skates, there seems to be a preference for these like laminate flooring. I think that's the one that's kind of like required by the World Inline Federation. That's the sort of like surface that they use. But the Roller Federation, I've also seen them, they've got this like lovely white surface that you can put down on top. And I've been trying to find, you know, organizations that maybe like sell that as a product, but I'm not getting very far with that yet. Have you come across any of those sorts of products?
No, nothing like that. A lot of the places where I'm skating professionally, I'm lucky if they've, you know, cleaned the floor before I skate on it. You know, sometimes it's carpet and I'm like, always have to message them before and just make sure that the surface is going to be suitable for me. But yeah, sometimes it's carpet, and that's really, I mean, you can not really thick carpet, but like, you know, very thin, like carpet tiles.
Yeah.
You can do it, but it's a big workout, and you have to take the wheels off afterwards because of all the hair that collects into the wheels. So it's not ideal at all. But no, I've not come across that white floor. Sports hall flooring is lovely, and I know that's where the off-ice skating team, I think they've actually got a skating school. I'm not sure, it might be at Sobel. I'm not sure where their original rink was, but I know that they use a sports hall, and a lot of people, there's a lot of roller rinks that aren't inline but are quads that they use just like a sports hall surface. But no, I've not heard of the white laminate thing before.
Yeah, I've seen it on some videos, and I think that some of the people that are doing like the roller derby and the roller skating, or like the speed skating, I think they use it because it seems to be a very fast surface. But I haven't seen too much of it yet coming across into the inline, so that might be something that might develop over the next couple.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. Well, look, that's been an absolutely amazing start, Jessica. Thank you so much for doing that.
That's okay.
And we'll continue these conversations over the next couple of weeks, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
I love it.
And we'll share this with our community.
No worries. Can I take a little picture of us?
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
With my phone in it? No, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't want to get my phone in. There we go.
Yeah.
Let me get hold on. Should I put my skate in the picture?
Yeah, let's do that.
Get my skate in. My messy, horrible skate.
Yay!
Hold on.
Oh, isn't that nice? Yay!